Autosports, John Andretti in the stock car and IndyCar and racing world, the racing community, mourns John Andretti and Kobe Bryant. I mean, a lot of people, whether or not you're a basketball fan or not, Kobe Bryant, everybody knows it. LeBron James, Michael Jordan. They know those names, whether or not you watch NBA on a regular basis, whether or not you follow the Lakers or the Pacers or whoever the NBA team in your region is, whether or not you're following those, you know those names. And Kobe Bryant, I don't want to say bigger than life, but he was close to bigger than life, and certainly lost his life at a younger age. I mean, both people we're talking about today, John Andretti and Kobe Bryant, really kind of just young. I mean, I'm 52. John Andretti was 56, and the cancer had went into remission for the longest time, and then we learned last summer that the cancer had returned with John Andretti, and then with Kobe Bryant, it was just a tragic accident. It's just one of those things that happen, and to lose the daughter also, and she was a huge basketball person and with lots of potential in the women's basketball and potential in the WNBA and connections here in Indiana. Tamika Catchings with the Fever here was a mentor of Kobe's daughter. I mean, this is just all sad stuff. So we're doing kind of a different show today. Tomorrow we have our Super Bowl special. We'll be breaking down everything from the Kansas City Chiefs and the 49ers, and we'll get into all of that tomorrow. So we have not forgot the big game. I promise you that. And Ed Kracz, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles, will be joining us in the next hour. The thing about it is Kobe was from Philadelphia, and Ed covered Kobe when he was in high school. And as we know, Kobe went right into the NBA out of high school as well. But right now we're talking with Steve Wilson from Speedway Digest. Let's talk about John Andretti, nephew of Indianapolis 500 winner Mario Andretti, and the first cousin to Andretti Autosports owner Michael. Obviously, his father was twin brother to Mario and died of cancer. So this is a little soundbite from Mario, who is remembering John Andretti.
This is John. This is my son Michael, Jeff, and his brother Mark. They were the four musketeers. They were all racers.
At his home in Nazareth, Indianapolis 500 winner Mario Andretti reminisces about his nephew, race car champion John Andretti. The Bethlehem native had a versatile career that included victories in NASCAR, IndyCar, and the Rolex 24 before retiring in 2010. John lost his battle with cancer Thursday at the age of 56. Andretti got the devastating phone call Thursday morning.
You can never prepare for some things like that. Even as predictable as a situation like this can be, you can never prepare for it.
Mario says John was first diagnosed with colon cancer in 2017.
Yes,
That's when he vowed to fight back and use his voice to raise awareness about colon cancer. John even developed the hashtag #CheckItForAndretti to urge people to get screened.
I feel that John showed some character, by just coming forth and creating the awareness because it happened to him. And that's a strong message.
John was a multifaceted racer who competed and won in the NASCAR Cup Series and the CART IndyCar Series. He was the first driver to attempt the Indianapolis 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 doubleheader in 1994. This photo was taken at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in 1991, the first time that four members of the Andretti family competed at the Indy 500. Mario has fond memories of that race and others.
We were even on podium together, one time in Milwaukee back in the early 90s with my son Michael winning. He's second and I was third. As a family, again, we had a lot of great moments.
Oh, I'm sorry, that cut off sooner than what I thought they did. That's Mario Andretti, obviously the uncle to John Andretti, talking about the memory of John Andretti. We're talking with Steve Wilson, Speedway Digest, editor-in-chief of Speedway Digest, and we're kind of remembering John Andretti. We like to think of him as the Cheerios guy, and as you mentioned, certainly very well known. And as pointed out in the clip there, again, I mean, he kind of might get lost in the conversation of the Andrettis, but Steve, John was a very accomplished Andretti.
No, he was, and I think that's what made him so versatile in so many different sports. I mean, he had been in drag racing. We talked a little bit about his IndyCar career, stock car career, racing a Rolex 24. He raced in some of the biggest races in the world. And, he was a utility driver that was able to go out there and race in just different forms of motorsports and was accomplished in all of them. And I think, again, it comes back to the vast wealth of knowledge that you can learn from growing up in a family like that. Mario himself raced stock cars at one point. So it's something that, you just either have a natural talent for or you're born into, and you can learn that talent. And for John, it was a little of both. And you saw that in the fact of just being able to grow up in it, but then, breaking away a little bit from that stock car, as the open wheel realm, and going and having the success that he did in stock cars and the Rolex and some of these other disciplines that he raced in.
We're talking with Steve Wilson of Speedway Digest. Steve, let's kind of make a little bit of a transition here because we do have some other NASCAR stuff to talk about. Obviously, the Daytona 500 is just a few short weeks away. What know we? What say you about the Daytona 500?
Well, I'm excited that the fact of a week from now we're finally going to get some cars back on the racetrack, and just about 8 days from now we'll know who's going to sit on the pole for the Daytona 500. So these teams are thrashing away, and they're ready to pack these cars in and send them down to Daytona for 2 weeks for Speed Weeks here and get the season kicked off. It's going to be exciting, as always, and I think that we saw a lot of exciting racing at these tracks last year. Daytona is just an animal all by itself, and just as Talladega is, and really so many people have a chance to win that they wouldn't normally have a chance. This is kind of like the great equalizer that teams that we normally wouldn't see run up front, and some teams that Front Row Motorsports that won a couple of years ago at Talladega in an event like this, that we see drivers that may not necessarily win a lot of races also get an opportunity to do so, and it's just exciting that we're 7 days away from rolling the series on, or the season on.
Well, we would be remiss and have our NASCAR segment today and not talk about the NASCAR Hall of Fame inductees. Tony Stewart, obviously an Indiana favorite, along with others such as Bobby Labonte and Buddy Baker and Waddell Wilson. But man, Tony Stewart is definitely. Well, we could go on all day long talking about Tony Stewart, but let's talk about the 2020 inductees in the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
We could kind of talk all day long on Tony Stewart because what hasn't he done, or what isn't he still trying to do in dirt racing and sprint cars at this moment. But you have a diverse group of people in there this year. Coach Gibbs, which was Tony's car owner for quite some time, won championships under him. before he broke away and started his own team, which this is the second Hall of Fame that Coach Gibbs is in. He's in the National Football League Hall of Fame also for his career with the Redskins and winning the Super Bowl with them. So, this is a guy that came over and started in stock cars in 92, 93, won the Daytona 500 with Dale Jarrett and his first full season in the as a car owner. And then you got people like Waddell Wilson, which was an engine builder. He grew up in rural North Carolina with little to no education and was able to build winning engines for some of the biggest names in the sport over the years. And then Buddy Baker himself, a Telecaster, a champion and a winner in racing or in stock car racing. He was the Gentle Giant. He was a very big, tall guy, but just as nice as could be, which gave him the moniker the Gentle Giant. And then you got Bobby Labonte himself, a driver for Coach Gibbs. A lot of these drivers come back to Coach Gibbs over their career. Drove that number 18 car for years. So, we had a very diverse group of people going into the Hall of Fame this year. They're all well-deserved to get in there. And some of them probably have waited a little bit longer than others. I think you think of Waddell Wilson and Buddy Baker. Probably maybe should have been in there a couple of years ago, but, they finally made it in.
Steve Wilson of Speedway Digest joins us, and we've been reflecting on the life of John Andretti. In the next hour, we're going to get into Kobe Bryant. Before we let you go, we got one more soundbite, and let's just remember John Andretti as he passed away this week from colon cancer.
If you were looking for John Andretti, the best place to find him was at a racetrack. He started karting at the age of 9 and in a sprint car by the time he was 20.
Are you going to use this as kind of a stepping stone toward bigger things in racing, maybe like Mike and Mario up in the IndyCars, or do you want to go any farther in racing?
Oh, sure, I want to go, hopefully all the way to the top.
By the age of 25, with his father Aldo at his side, he was there.
And the Gold Coast IndyCar Grand Prix goes to John Andretti.
His kart win came at Surfers Paradise in 1991, and at Indy, he ultimately ran in 12 Indy 500s, including races in 1991 and 92, where he ran against Mario and cousins Michael and Jeff.
I think we're always fighting to be better than the next one in the family, and that's something that keeps us all honest, as we say, where you just want to be better and better.
After doing double duty in 1994, racing in Indy and then Charlotte the same day, he may have ultimately found his most success in NASCAR, beating the likes of Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon to win for the legendary Cale Yarborough at Daytona in 1997.
I'd like to thank RCA, Goodyear, Ford, and all the people that have been involved. I mean, Cale Yarborough, put a lot of faith in me.
2 years later, he won it for the great Richard Petty at Martinsville.
I told them boys, I said, we need to make a habit out of this.
But eventually, races became few and far between. He began to do a variety of appearances, including as an analyst for Trackside 6.
You've been great to us the entire weekend.
He also began something called the Race for Riley. Visits to Riley Hospital for Children meant so much, touched by the power of perseverance, followed by karting events, which raised big bucks over the many years.
This thing's getting bigger and bigger every year. I would imagine in a couple of years we'll have it at the Speedway. Is that right?
Well, the Speedway wanted us to come, but, we, not really. I mean.
But then came the devastating news in January of 2017. Stage 4 colon cancer. He said he never got checked, never had a colonoscopy, and all he could think about was his wife Nancy, daughters Olivia and Amelia, and son Jarrett.
Is this more difficult to watch in your family than it is for you to deal with this?
It's way harder to watch because it's unfair to them. I've said it several times. It's unfair to them that I'm even in this condition because this could have been prevented. Now, for me to go through it, it's my own fault because I didn't get checked. I didn't get screened soon enough.
Do you blame yourself?
I do.
You sit up at night?
I do because I don't know why, but I do.
Just last year, John wrapping up his 23rd race for Riley and checks totaling around $550,000, all despite a number of clinical trials to battle his cancer.